So today we're going to talk about one of the only few games that I think I have a love and hate relationship for. Today we're talking about Sekiro and why I think is a masterpiece surrounded by misery. Throughout the past few years, I've been expanding my game horizon. I used to literally only play Destiny and Call of Duty and Terraria every now and then. But in the past few years, I started playing story games. I've played Spider-Man, I've played God of War, I played Ghost of Tsushima, and becoming more diverse with games and playing like anything has made me realize I had shit taste in games before. So today is no different. Over the summer and not that long ago, I played Sekiro for the very first time and holy fuck. Now, before I get into this review of Sekiro, I want to talk about a few housekeeping things. So from reception of last video and like friends and all this and that, I will be doing the full Souls franchise. I don't know what order yet. Dark Souls 2 will probably be the last, honestly, other than Elden Ring. I want to save Elden Ring to the very, very last, so then I can play all these games and see how much I've improved on it. But for sanity reasons, I think Dark Souls 2 will be the last. Who knows? If people really want to push it, I'll do it. In whatever order. I'm not too picky about it. And the second housekeeping thing is they're not going to be back-to-back releases. I do want to get some other games between there just so I don't get burned out on these games. Like Demon Souls and the Dark Souls franchise kind of look samey. So to keep some sanity in my life, and so I don't need to go to therapy every day of my life, we're going to spread it out. And yeah, that's all I got. So let's get back to the review. So first thing I usually like to talk about is story. I won't spoil the story, but we will talk about it quite a bit, at least the beginning, like half of the game or so. In the very beginning of the game, you get Wolf's backstory. You kind of learn about Owl a little bit and some of the other like prominent characters in the game. After that little like flashback of what Wolf was like a little bit before the game just throws you in. You learn about Kuro, which is your master that you're supposed to protect. He's part of a special bloodline that makes him immortal, which does play into gameplay aspects later, which I really like. And at the beginning of the game, Ashina gets invaded, Kuro gets taken, your arm gets cut off because you failed to save him. You make your way to Ashina Tower, and along the way, if you die, you'll learn that because of Kuro's blood, and he gives you a little bit, you are able to resurrect, which is where the name Shadows Die Twice comes from. But if you're anything like me, you died a lot more than fucking twice. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, like you go up to the tower, you go find Kuro, and you find out Genichiro is there. He's another clan member. You fight him, blah, 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 blah. That's all I'm going to go on with story. I think that's the very good place to start considering what happens after Genichiro's fight. But one thing I will say about the story is it's very linear compared to like all the other games. Like I think the games all have a very ambiguous story. Like you get little bits and pieces there, especially like in Bloodborne and Elden Ring. But if you really want to understand those games, you have to go out of your way. And Sekiro is like very much the opposite of that. It's very linear. You know what's going on. Now, granted, I think personally, I don't think Sekiro's story is as good as some of the other Souls games. Personally, I really like Bloodborne's, but yeah. So let's move on to gameplay because I think that's where we'll spend the longest in this video. I have a lot to say about gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, Sekiro is very different from Souls. Souls teaches you that if you're fucking up, you dodge, you run away. You do not stay near the boss. This game is quite literally the opposite of that. You want to be all up on the boss's nuts. Like the entire time. It is a parry focus system. So essentially with this game, you have a katana and you're parrying the entire time. Now at the bottom of the screen, you'll probably see it in gameplay. You have what's called a stagger meter. And if you mess up on your parries or you block, it'll go up super fast. Once that bar reaches like full, your posture breaks and you're fucked essentially if the posture breaks. So what you want to do in this game is you want to get perfect parries. Now it's going to take some time. It definitely took me a long time to get the parry system down. But once you get it down, you'll start flying through the game. Like Genichiro's like 25% ish of the game or so, like maybe a third. I had trouble with him. And then I went back and went to go fight Lady Butterfly, and I went to go do some other stuff, and then I went back to him, and I had his whole moveset down. Like, I didn't have any upgrades, and I was getting him to his final third phase, and then I would die because I was out of heals and everything. Once I got some motherfucking upgrades, I made him my bitch. Like, I had the moves down. I had everything. I flawlessed his first phase. I got hit once or twice the second, and then the third was just done because of lightning. So I think this works in Sekiro's favor, especially the whole combat system of this game. If you get that down, this game will fly. Now, there is some other differences to the Souls games. You know, most of you are probably aware of like the RPG systems that Souls has. So like when you level up, you get skill points, you put them into like vitality, stamina, arcane, like any of that. Sekiro's different. There's not any of that. It is more XP based. And once you get XP, you buy skill points on a skill tree, which the skill trees are very good, but they are kind of out of the way to get. Like my first playthrough, I only had 2 skill trees and there's like 5 or 6 of them, I think. So that kind of says something, I guess. Like if you want to be really like well-rounded and prepared, I would go get them. The most popular one I think I see a lot is Ichimonji. Ichimonji is a very good move to get in the beginning of the game. But besides the skill tree, you have shinobi prosthetics and shinobi tools. So because your arm gets cut off in the game, you can kind of alter the arm. Now, I played around with them a little bit. Like I like the axe shinobi tool. I think it's pretty good. But of course, I stick around with firecrackers. Firecrackers work very well against like the beast bosses in this game, which trust me, we'll get to those. But I don't really have complaints in those in like this area. I feel like it's a lot different than Souls. So like if you like that system, you're probably gonna be a little disappointed by it. Now, something else this game does, which I see why they do it. Now, another thing this game has is just one weapon. It's just your katana, which I think is kind of a bold choice here. Like Souls has kind of built off of, you know, getting to choose the way you play and this and that. And Sekiro, for once, kind of discourages that a little. Like because of the one weapon, I mean, there's not variety in that place. But because of that, the bosses in this game are very well designed. Most of them. You know, I have my favorites. I think Ishin, which is final boss, if you do the normal playthrough, is one of the best well-designed bosses I think I've ever played in a game. Genichiro, I like just pinning Genichiro down and doing some sus stuff to him because he pissed me off for a while. Yeah, there's some other bosses. Shinobi or Owl is pretty cool. The snake is like a gimmicky boss. Same with the dragon. I bet a lot of you have seen. Now, the last thing we'll talk about is, you know, health and damage. In the other games, like you don't level up your weapon or anything like materials and stuff. You have attack power and vitality. And so vitality you get from prayer beads. These always usually come from bosses, mini bosses as well. So the game does encourage you to actually go fight mini bosses, but you do get some from main bosses as well. And then you get their memory or whatever whenever you fight a main boss, which this does increase your attack power. I think there's some like kind of side optional bosses that'll get you some. Like Lady Butterfly isn't required from what I know. I almost missed her and she gave me one. So it does definitely help you. And I would recommend that you go do it, especially early game. It is very helpful early game. And I think that's kind of where Sekiro has some issues with. Early game of Sekiro is kind of rough. Like you have to learn the parry and it can feel very punishing if you don't get it down. Now let's move on to bosses. Like I was saying earlier, if you get parry mechanic down, bosses feel very good. You can make them your bitch as much as you want. And I love that. I love clowning on them. But there are some bosses I do not like in this game. And that's the beast bosses. Like as many as you probably know, the Guardian Ape fight. Now let's watch Kai. Let's watch Kai's reaction to this motherfucker.
Fuck you talking about, bitch ass nigga? That's what I fucking do. Fuck you talking about? I'm him, bitch. Eh? What? Nigga, what?
Yeah. Guardian Ape could go burn on a. Now, is he as bad as I'm making it out to be? Probably not. I probably just suck. First phase of him is kind of rough. So second phase, he pulls out a sword and he's a lot easier to deal with than he was in the first phase, which makes the fight almost like just that the fact that you just need to get past the first phase and then he's a lot easier to handle. He does have this one move that if you don't get away from, he will insta kill you, which is, I guess, could be tuned a little bit. It kind of feels like it's a little fast, but that's just me nitpicking the nitpick. I've never had such an adrenaline rush beating some of these bosses before. Like, even though I think that they aren't designed as good as they probably could be, even in Elden Ring, I don't think I've had as much as like an adrenaline rush from beating some of these as I have in Sekiro. Of course, we got the Raging Bull in the beginning. I just have him here because he was kind of like a weird boss for the beginning. And then, of course, Demon of Hatred. There's not even much I need to say there. There's a reason why he's called Demon of Hatred. These bosses make you play fundamentally different. So it kind of throws you off. If you've played Souls, you'll probably start getting the hang of it really fast. Like, it wants you to play it like Souls compared to the rest of the bosses in this game. You know, I had a rough time with Sekiro there for a while. I was struggling. I was bashing my fucking head against the wall. But in the end, I loved it. I think it's one of the best games I probably will ever play. You know, story-wise, there's a lot better games. So I think you'll still like Sekiro. It's still a good story, but it's not the main focus of this game. The focus of these games have never been like story. Like, they're always like almost in the background. The focus of these games has always been combat, bosses, innovations to like some of these systems, and making these systems feel almost perfect. And that's what Sekiro is. It is almost perfect. Do I have some gripes with the game? Of course I do. Not every game is perfect, but it is so close. It is so close. And would I recommend this as your first Souls game? Hell no, I would not. But if you've played a couple of the others, I would recommend that you play Sekiro. I played Sekiro right before Elden Ring, and I went back to Elden Ring after because I got my character to the point where I could do DLC, and then I played Sekiro and then did the DLC, and I noticed significant improvement of how I played these games. Sekiro is one of those games that, you know, you can't bullshit your way through. You can't force your way through this. You have to learn. You have to parry. You have to be at least somewhat decent at this game to succeed in it. I'm not going to lie. I almost think Ishin is harder than Melania. You can just, if you know what you're doing with Melania, you can bully Melania. But with this game, like, there is no getting around it. Sure, there's some cheeses you can look up. Like, there is some of that, like there is with most of these games. But if you want like a self of accomplishment and stuff, I would definitely go play Sekiro. And that's been it, guys. This has been Sir UD. If you liked the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I would really appreciate it if you show this to your friends, family, whatever, if you really enjoyed. So yeah, guys, this has been Sir UD, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.